This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Rinkitink in Oz by L. Frank Baum. Chapter 5. The Three Pearls. When King Rinkitink and Prince Inga had bathed themselves in the sea and eaten a simple breakfast, they began wondering what they could do to improve their condition. "The poor people of Gilgad," said Rinkitink cheerfully, "are little likely ever again to behold their king in the flesh, for my boat and my rowers are gone with everything else. Let us face the fact that we are imprisoned for life upon this island, and that our lives will be short unless we can secure more to eat than is in this small sack." "I'll not starve, for I can eat grass," remarked the goat in a pleasant tone, or a tone as pleasant as Bilbil could assume. "True, quite true," said the king. Then he seemed thoughtful for a moment, and turning to Inga, he asked, "Do you think, Prince, that if the worst comes, we could eat Bilbil?" The goat gave a groan and cast a reproachful look at his master as he said, "Monster, would you indeed eat your old friend and servant?" "Not if I can help it," answered the king pleasantly. "You would make a remarkably tough morsel, and my teeth are not as good as they once were." While this talk was in progress, Inga suddenly remembered the three pearls which his father had hidden under the tiled floor of the banquet hall. Without doubt, King Kitticut had been so suddenly surprised by the invaders that he had found no opportunity to get the pearls, for otherwise the fierce warriors would have been defeated and driven out of Pingaree. So they must still be in their hiding place, and Inga believed they would prove of great assistance to him and his comrades in this hour of need. But the palace was a mass of ruins. Perhaps he would be unable now to find the place where the pearls were hidden. He said nothing of this to Rinkitink, remembering that his father had charged him to preserve the secret of the pearls and of their magic powers. Nevertheless, the thought of securing the wonderful treasures of his ancestors gave the boy new hope. He stood up and said to the king, "Let us return to the other end of Pingaree. It is more pleasant than here, in spite of the desolation of my father's palace, and there, if anywhere, we shall discover a way out of our difficulties." This suggestion met with Rinkitink's approval, and the little party at once started upon the return journey. As there was no occasion to delay upon the way, they reached the big end of the island about the middle of the day and at once began searching the ruins of the palace. They found to their satisfaction that one room at the bottom of a tower was still habitable, although the roof was broken in and the place was somewhat littered with stones. The king was, as he said, too fat to do any hard work, so he sat down on a block of marble and watched Inga clear the room of its rubbish. This done, the boy hunted through the ruins until he discovered a stool and an armchair that had not been broken beyond use. Some bedding and a mattress were also found, so that by nightfall the little room had been made quite comfortable. The following morning, while Rinkitink was still sound asleep and Bilbil was busily cropping the dewy grass that edged the shore, Prince Inga began to search the tumbled heaps of marble for the place where the royal banquet hall had been. After climbing over the ruins for a time, he reached a flat place which he recognized by means of the tiled flooring and the broken furniture scattered about to be the great hall he was seeking. But in the center of the floor, directly over the spot where the pearls were hidden, lay several large and heavy blocks of marble which had been torn from the dismantled walls. This unfortunate discovery for a time discouraged the boy, who realized how helpless he was to remove such vast obstacles. But it was so important to secure the pearls that he dared not give way to despair until every human effort had been made. So he sat himself down to think over the matter with great care. Meantime, Rinkitink had risen from his bed and walked out upon the lawn, where he found Bilbil reclining at ease upon the greensward. "Where is Inga?" asked Rinkitink, rubbing his eyes with his knuckles because their vision was blurred with too much sleep. "Don't ask me," said the goat, chewing with much satisfaction a cud of sweet grasses. "Bilbil," said the king, squatting down beside the goat and resting his fat chin upon his hands and his elbows on his knees, Allow me to confide to you the fact that I am bored and need amusement. My good friend Kitticut has been kidnapped by the barbarians and taken from me, so there is no one to converse with me intelligently. I am the king and you are the goat. Suppose you tell me a story." "Suppose I don't," said Bilbil, with a scowl, for a goat's face is very expressive. "If you refuse, I shall be more unhappy than ever, and I know your disposition is too sweet to permit that. Tell me a story, Bilbil." The goat looked at him with an expression of scorn. Said he, "One would think you are but 4 years old, Rinkitink. But there, I will do as you command. Listen carefully, and the story may do you some good, although I doubt if you understand the moral." "I am sure the story will do me good," declared the king, whose eyes were twinkling. "Once on a time," began the goat. "When was that, Bilbil?" asked the king gently. "Don't interrupt. It is impolite. Once on a time there was a king with a hollow inside his head, where most people have their brains, and Is this a true story, Bilbil? And the king with a hollow head could chatter words which had no sense, and laugh in a brainless manner at senseless things. That part of the story is true enough, Rinkitink." "Then proceed with the tale, sweet Bilbil. Yet it is hard to believe that any king could be brainless, unless, indeed, he proved it by owning a talking goat." Bilbil glared at him a full minute in silence. Then he resumed his story. This empty-headed man was a king by accident, having been born to that high station. Also, the king was empty-headed by the same chance, being born without brains. "Poor fellow!" quoth the king. "Did he own a talking goat?" "He did," answered Bilbil. "Then he was wrong to have been born at all." "Hee hee hee hee! Woo-hoo!" chuckled Rinkitink, his fat body shaking with merriment. "But it's hard to prevent oneself from being born. There's no chance for protest, eh, Bilbil?" "Who is telling this story, I'd like to know?" demanded the goat with anger. "Ask someone with brains, my boy. I'm sure I can't tell," replied the king, bursting into one of his merry fits of laughter. Bilbil rose to his hoofs and walked away in a dignified manner, leaving Rinkitink chuckling anew at the sour expression of the animal's face. "Oh, Bilbil, you'll be the death of me some day, I'm sure you will," gasped the king, taking out his lace handkerchief to wipe his eyes, for, as he often did, he had laughed till the tears came. Bilbil was deeply vexed and would not even turn his head to look at his master. To escape from Rinkitink, he wandered among the ruins of the palace, where he came upon Prince Inga. "Good morning, Bilbil," said the boy. "I was just going to find you, that I might consult you upon an important matter. If you will kindly turn back with me, I am sure your good judgment will be of great assistance." The angry goat was quite mollified by the respectful tone in which he was addressed, but he immediately asked, "Are you also going to consult that empty-headed king over yonder?" "I am sorry to hear you speak of your kind master in such a way," said the boy gravely. "All men are deserving of respect, being the highest of living creatures, and kings deserve respect more than others, for they are set to rule over many people." "Nevertheless," said Bilbil with conviction, "Rinkitink's head is certainly empty of brains." "That I am unwilling to believe," insisted Inga. "But anyway, his heart is kind and gentle, and that is better than being wise. He is merry in spite of misfortunes that would cause others to weep, and he never speaks harsh words that wound the feelings of his friends." "Still," growled Bilbil, "he is " "Let us forget everything but his good nature, which puts new heart into us when we are sad," advised the boy. "But he is " "Come with me, please," interrupted Inga, "for the matter of which I wish to speak is very important." Bilbil followed him, although the boy still heard the goat muttering that the king had no brains. Rinkitink, seeing them turn into the ruins, also followed, and upon joining them asked for his breakfast. Inga opened the sack of food, and while he and the king ate of it, the boy said, "If I could find a way to remove some of the blocks of marble which have fallen in the banquet hall, I think I could find means for us to escape from this barren island." "Then," mumbled Rinkitink with his mouth full, "let us move the blocks of marble."